This is a Hils headless guitar, and as of making this video, it's the best guitar that I've found that's headless and also in this price range, which is around $500. Now, as you can see, I have tried a lot of headless guitars, including the Strandberg Bowden Essential over here, and a bunch of others on the channel that I no longer have. So I have a good idea of what the headless guitar world looks like. And honestly, there's a lot of good to talk about when it comes to this guitar, including some things that I would like to see more expensive headless guitars try. It's not perfect, but I'll say it one more time. For around $500 or below, this is the best headless guitar that I've tried thus far. So let's talk about it. So of course we have to start with the locking mechanism, and a lot of inexpensive headless guitars get this wrong, but Hils did a really great job. As you can see, we just have one screw that secures the string in place. And if you look closely, you'll see there's also a little channel behind the screw. And that's a really nice addition because that means that after you clip the string, the excess amount of string is going to sit right in that channel and it's not going to stick up and poke you. And I've talked about this a lot of times, I won't rehash the whole thing, but one of my pet peeves with headless guitars is that little bit of string that can hang out and poke you and draw blood. So I really like the way that Hils made this hardware. And then we just have a regular nut and no zero fret. I mentioned a zero fret because a lot of headless guitars like Strandberg have zero frets, and I actually prefer guitars without zero frets. For me, a zero fret, and yes, that includes a stainless steel zero fret, that just becomes one other thing you have to worry about changing down the line. So I'm happy it's not here. And the guitar came set up pretty well from the factory. I could definitely make this guitar play a little bit better by just filing down the nuts a little bit. So it's not perfect, but again, it's definitely passable and very comfortable to play. So as we get to the rest of the neck, you'll see that this guitar does have stainless steel frets, but I'll be honest, whenever I see a guitar for this price with stainless steel frets, the first thing I do is go to their site and see if they list what company supplies the stainless steel. And usually they don't tell you what stainless steel is being used. So I can't attest to the quality of this particular stainless steel. I can't say it's going to last as long as just car frets, for example, but it is nice to see that they're including it in this price range. I would say the fretwork is definitely passable. The leveling is pretty good. There are a few spots here and there with buzz. And the fret ends are certainly not perfectly smooth. They're a little bit sharp in a few different areas, but it's not something that has caused me any discomfort when actually playing. And it's definitely not the worst fret job I've seen on a guitar this price. So again, I would give this a passable grade, but it can definitely be improved in the future. Hils lists this neck shape as a thin C, and I would say that's very accurate. They also have some measurements on their site, but I'll say this. If you've played any guitars from the major companies that list their neck as a modern C or a thin C, it feels pretty much exactly like this. And then as you can see, we have a simple bolt-on design, but it is nicely rounded over here, which is nice. And we have our truss rod adjustment right here in the front, which is great. Now, as we move to the body of the guitar, this is where I think they did a really great job overall, but there are still a few things that can be improved. So the first thing I'll note is that this guitar is extremely lightweight, which I love to see with headless guitar. There are some headless guitars that are actually as heavy as a regular guitar, which to me kind of defeats the purpose. So lightweight body, which is great. And then we have a design that is similar to the Strandberg design, but a little bit different. I think it looks great, and the metallic paint job also looks really nice on this guitar. Something else that I really like is that they got the output jack location right. So they have it right here and not right here. Now, some of you are going to think this is a nitpick, but it's actually a huge deal, and I'll show you why. One of the benefits of having a headless guitar is that you can place it on your body similar to how you would place a guitar if you were actually standing. So the neck points up at roughly 45 degrees-ish, and for a lot of styles of playing, this is going to be a better position for guitar players. If you put the output jack at this location and then you try to sit with the guitar, it's always going to be coming in contact with your body, which is uncomfortable, and in my opinion, it defeats one of the great benefits of having a headless guitar. For example, this is an Ibanez headless guitar. It's actually really, really nice. I really like it, and it's more than double the price of the Hils guitar. And as you can see, one flaw of this guitar is that we have the output jack location in the wrong spot. And so when you go to sit with this guitar, I have this little green cloth here so you can actually see it because you won't see it in my black outfit. But anyway, when you go to sit with the guitar, the jack is always going to be hitting your leg, and messing up the angle of the guitar, even if you're using a strap. Now, every time I mention this in a video, someone says I should just use an angled cable. So here I have an angled cable, and it definitely improves the situation, but as you can see, it doesn't fix the issue. If you have a quality angled cable that has a bit more of a substantial piece right here, it's still not going to be as comfortable as it could be. And on top of that, it just makes more sense for the guitar company to fix the issue when it's simple, rather than us trying to find a workaround. So all of this to say, I like the output jack location on here, and every guitar company, headless guitar, regular guitar, whatever the case may be, just put the cable up here or somewhere else out of the way. And speaking of the output jack, this is also my preferred design because it doesn't get as loose as fast as other jacks. As another quick comparison, this is my Strandberg Bowden Essential. I play this guitar a lot, and I've been playing it a lot over the last 6 months or so, and the output jack has already gotten loose. I've had to open up the guitar and re-tighten it twice already, and it happened again today. So for example, volume is all the way up, as you heard. So yeah, that's not a knock on this guitar because a lot of guitars have this issue, but the Hils guitar with this improved output jack shouldn't have this issue as frequently. And then one other strength of this body design that I really like is that, well, when you have a headless guitar, you often have to make compromises with stands. So for example, the Strandberg back here is in a Fender Universal A-frame stand, which is one of the only stands that it sits properly in. And even then it still kind of is at a weird angle, which makes me a little bit nervous at times, but I digress. And then as you can see, the GOC guitar over here is in a normal stand, and it's tilted very awkwardly. And if you're not careful, it does easily fall out. So when it comes to headless guitars, stands can be an issue. I like that the Hils guitar actually has these little nubs on the bottom right here. They make the guitar even, and then you can actually just place it on the ground and lean it against a wall or an amp, just like you would any other guitar that you have. Well, I actually don't recommend that you... See what I mean? Like I was saying, I don't recommend that you lean your guitar against an amp as a long-term solution, but it is very sturdy right there because of those little nubs. So yeah, there are a lot of great little design features about the body itself. I will say that at least for me, when I compare it to my Strandberg guitar, which is my favorite body design overall, it's not as ergonomic. It does a good job, but it's not perfect, and this is what I mean. So my favorite thing about the Strandberg body is that even if I don't have a strap on the guitar, I can place this little area on my right leg, just like this. And between the angle of the guitar, the weight, and my right arm providing a tiny bit of pressure when I'm playing guitar, I can sit like this very, very comfortably even without a strap. And I often do play guitar like this. It's no issue whatsoever. So this is a really great ergonomic position for me personally. I have heard a few of you say that you can't do this with your guitar, so it might just be the quirks of my limb lengths and angles and whatever. But I will say, for me personally, this works. It's my favorite. If I try the same thing with the Hils guitar, it doesn't really work because the angles are a little bit different. So it kind of wants to slide down this way a bit more. And as a reminder, this is very, very nitpicky. But if I use a strap with the guitar, I can still rest it on my leg in the right way, and it's still comfortable to play. So the strap in my back is not carrying the weight of the guitar. It's still on my leg itself, which means that I'm not actually going to get fatigued from playing this way. And of course, the guitar is extremely lightweight. So it's definitely a very, very good design. But for me personally, it's not perfect. And while we're comparing this guitar to other guitars, I'll say that the hardware on this guitar is some of my favorite that I've tried thus far on a headless guitar. When it comes to setting string height and especially intonation on a headless guitar, a lot of different companies have designs that are really, really annoying. They take forever to set up. For example, the Strandberg hardware, even the GLC hardware. These are great guitars, but it takes a while to set up the intonation because of how it's designed. When it comes to the Hils guitar, we basically have what you would expect from a normal guitar. So we have the string height right on the front, like a normal Fender style guitar. And then we have the intonation on the back here, like a normal Fender style guitar. And then we just have the tuners right below it to tune the guitar. So in terms of setting up your string height and intonation, this is going to be as fast as your favorite Strat guitar, and I really, really love this design. And when it comes to the pickups, I'll say that the tones are passable. They're not going to necessarily impress you, but I also don't feel like I need to run out and swap these pickups, which in my opinion is a good thing. So we have master volume, master tone, push-pull to split the coils of the pickups, and then we have a normal 3-way switch here. This guitar by just telling you who I think this guitar is for and why I'm really happy to see it in the market. So let's first just handle the elephant in the room. This guitar is $500. The least expensive Strandberg as of making this video costs $1,000. So the Strandberg guitar over here is twice the price of this guitar. The Strandberg guitar is also better, but this guitar is also twice the price of this guitar, and a lot of people don't have $1,000 or $1,800 to go out and buy a headless guitar. In the past, I've showed you a bunch of other headless guitars that are in the budget range, and I was never able to really recommend one of those guitars strongly for the amount of money they charged. But I can say with confidence that if you have $500 and you want to get more into headless guitars, this should be the guitar that you buy. And there are a few reasons why this guitar is great for someone just getting into headless guitars. Number one, the neck is normal, so it's going to feel normal to you. The setup is going to be super simple because we have the truss rod adjustment at the base of the neck, and then we have our normal saddles in terms of height and intonation adjustments. So there's not going to be a big learning curve for getting used to it like you might have with a different type of headless guitar. And on top of that, it sounds good enough, and it's in a lot more people's budget. So I'm really happy to see that Hils entered the headless guitar world, and they're offering a guitar that I can actually recommend for the money. And if you want to know more about any of the other headless guitars around me, I have videos on those linked below.